What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Erasure, and we're returning to Cowboy 1997, and the next tune is Love Affair, which seems like a very Erasure title, not only because it speaks to emotion and love specifically, but affair, which of course could be on the level and monogamous, but that word is also of course used for secretive and or relationship breaking, illicit romantic and or sexual connections, and it feels like there are a lot of Erasure songs that I'm already familiar with which speak to the ambiguous or gray area between normal relationships, emotionally speaking, and those which are more complicated and or perhaps being unfaithful. So I do wonder what type of affair we're talking about here. If I had to guess, I'm going to say a more straight away, just a love affair between people that's not in relation to a third party or to a pre-existing relationship that's being broken. So yes, that would be my estimation, but of course I will try to follow as I can. This is Erasure, the tune is Love Affair, and it's from their 1997 album Cowboy.
It's not just a love affair. It's all or nothing. Do I bet it all on love, or change and freak out when the chances come my way? Will they up and disappear? Will it ever go my way? Or am I out of here? There'll be tears before your bedtime. You mark my words. You wanted more than I could give you. You wanted more than you could have. It's not just a love affair. It's now or never. Could I give it all to you? Is that what we're about? If I hold you, will you stay? Or will you up and disappear? Be forever and a day, like you left yourself. There'll be tears before your bedtime. You mark my words. You wanted more than I could give you. You wanted more than you could have. When the chances come my way, will they often disappear? Will it ever go my way? Or am I out of here? There'll be tears before your bedtime. You mark my words. You wanted more than I could give you. You wanted more than you could have. More than you could have. More than you could have. More than you could have.
I felt short. I felt like I was going to go a bit longer, which isn't really a complaint. I feel like it said what it had to say, and it had those characteristic Erasure sonics, if a bit less bright than some others. And of course, there's been tunes that have a heavier feel, especially on that self-titled album where they were more expansive soundscapes, though to be fair, that album featured tracks that were notably longer. But yes, so I'm gonna guess like 3.5 minutes, maybe? Yeah, slightly longer than that, but not much. And okay, so I'm intrigued by the lyrics. It does sound straight away, meaning it doesn't sound like it's a tryst or a secretive, furtive love affair that is in some way, breaking another relationship for one of the members. But it sounds like there is, if not a disconnect, they're at a point where the narrator feels like he can't give as much as the other person expected, and maybe the other person expected too much, but he's also seemingly mixed or unsure about whether he should really go for it more, in part because he apparently has not had good luck in love affairs before, and he's openly wondering, will things ever go my way? So maybe there's a reluctance, maybe there's a trepidation about committing further, but also it sounds like that's not the only question. It sounds like he doesn't feel he's actually capable of giving everything the other person may expect, and in that regard, again, maybe the other person has expected too much or more than is possible in a feasible reality. So yeah, there's an introspection and a speculation about the narrator's fortunes in love on a longer timeline, but also a shorter timeline question about what is possible between him and the other person, and whether the other person is being reasonable in what they see as possible or what they would hope to get from the person. So there's a question of commitment and the degree to which that should be and or is possible on both sides and two different timelines. So it's a cleverly written tune, and again, it feels very Andy in terms of these complicated emotions that don't fit into neat and tidy boxes of it's so great or I'm so sad. Sometimes it's a mixture, but he does also seem to be ready for the possibility that he might have to leave, he might have to pull back, because if this doesn't turn out the way he wants, or if the other person feels like they're not getting enough and they pull away from him, then he's going to be left holding the emotional bag. And so he's prepared to take flight if necessary, to egress himself from the situation. Sonically, as I said, a bit slower and heavier, although still with some lightness and Vince, synth, almost acidic style bubbles. I do enjoy their tunes where there's a bit of guitar because it has this electronic meets natural instrument sound to it. We definitely got a bit of acoustic guitar, though I suppose that could have been keyboard, like a kit that sounds like an electric or an acoustic guitar, but I'm going to assume it was a proper guitar, which is making me think of their video for Victim of Love, where Vince is standing around playing a guitar, which seems very out of place, even though I'm sure he can play a number of proper instruments, but I just always see him or envision him in front of a keyboard, be it a synthesizer proper or a piano at the very least, when I'm thinking of, what was it, Who Needs Love Like That? Isn't that the one with the Old West theme where he's in front of a saloon piano? Either way, as I said, seeing him with a guitar is a bit funny, but I enjoyed the guitar in this composition. So yes, a very Erasure tune, even if that's a bit different than a lot of what this album has felt like, which is a bit lighter and more synth electronic, more poppy, if you will, which again, I know people have mentioned the chronology of their albums, has some shifts along the way, and maybe this album isn't everyone's favorite and was maybe seen as a surprise following the self-titled album, which again had these longer soundscapes, more experimental and or ambient type sounds. But I'm enjoying it so far, looking forward to the final few tunes. Let me know what you think of this one, and I will see you next time. Peace.